Insanity defense. The Texas woman who drowned her 5 children goes on trial. The crucial question, was Andrea Yates insane at the time? Body count. The number of corpses keeps growing at that crematory in Georgia. How could it happen? How can you protect your loved ones? Skategate. The Canadians get their gold, but the controversy isn't over. Now, the embattled French judge claims she wasn't the culprit, but the victim. And Wild Ride, the topsy-turvy world of the skier called Weird Eric and the physics of flying.
This is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw, reporting tonight from the Olympic Winter Games in Salt Lake City.
Good evening. It is every family's nightmare scenario. A parent suddenly decides to kill the children. Sometimes there are warning signs, too often there are not. The case of Andrea Yates of Houston, Texas is particularly troubling for many reasons, beginning with the manner in which she killed her 5 children. She drowned them, one by one. Today she went on trial, and as NBC's Jim Cummins reports tonight, the big issue is not her guilt, but her state of mind.
She told him the order in which she had drowned these children.
Andrea Yates never looked over at Houston prosecutor Joe Ownby.
She told him that they struggled.
As he told the jury about her chilling confession to police at her home last June 20th.
When Officer Knapp of the Houston Police Department arrived at the house, and Andrea Yates told him that she had killed all of her children.
Where's Noah?
Noah, John, Paul, Luke, and Mary drowned one at a time by their own mother.
She told him that she wasn't mad at the children, that she killed them because they weren't developing correctly and she was a bad mother.
Mary, you what? You're 3 months.
Nobody disputes she killed the children. The question before the jury, was Yates insane? Her lawyer, George Parnham, says yes.
That she was off the chart.
He described Yates as a woman with a long history of mental illness, attempted suicide twice, and was hospitalized several times. He told the jury her last episode of postpartum depression and psychosis came soon after the birth of Mary, just 6 months before the murders.
She not only did not know on June the 20th what she was doing was wrong, but believed it was right.
Under Texas law, it's up to Yates' lawyers to prove she did not know right from wrong at the time of the murders. They have to prove that she was insane. But Prosecutor Ownby said she was sane enough that fateful morning to call 911 immediately.
Okay, well, why do you need the police, ma'am? I just
She had been thinking about killing her children for 2 years.
She was suffering from a delusion and beliefs that were not based in reality.
If this Texas jury finds she was sane at the time of the murders, Yates could face the death penalty. Jim Cummins, NBC News, Houston.
Now to another horror that just keeps getting worse for hundreds of already grieving people in Georgia. The owner of a facility for cremating the remains of the dead in the rural northwestern Georgia town of Noble is under arrest after investigators found decomposing bodies all over the property. 139 of them now. That's expected to go higher. Here's NBC's Suzanne Malbeau.
Like dozens of others, the Greer family learned the gruesome truth today. It was not Greg Greer's ashes in the urn they received from his funeral a week ago. In his case, it was ground-up concrete.
It's like going through your loved one dying twice, because you're going through almost the exact same procedure again.
Georgia investigators opened more vaults and uncovered more graves at the Tri-State Crematory in Noble, Georgia, discovering bodies everywhere they looked.
The most difficult part is really just adjusting to the fact that almost by the hour, this is changing and growing and expanding.
Some bodies are only days old, others mummified, suggesting to the state's medical examiner that some of the dead may have been dumped decades ago.
It's just incomprehensible. This just continues to go and go.
Crematorium manager Ray Brent Marsh, now in the Walker County Jail, faces multiple charges of theft by deception, one for each body investigators have identified, more than 20 by late this afternoon.
We do expect, as further remains are identified, that there will be further warrants taken.
Investigators are also questioning Marsh's parents and examining the company's accounts. Marsh inherited the business from them 6 years ago. As many as 30 funeral homes in 3 different states used the crematorium in this small North Georgia town, where grieving families are assembling to learn what really happened to their loved ones.
It's just his body, but it was my obligation to do what was right. And I thought I was doing what was right, but these people weren't.
Investigators say they've been told the crematorium's furnace has not been working lately, but they're also looking into allegations that it has not been maintained properly, perhaps for years. Suzanne Malveaux, NBC News, Noble, Georgia.
Coming up later on NBC Nightly News tonight, in depth, it turns out this case was not the exception. Now to President Bush on a 6-day trip through Asia. Today in Japan, the war on terrorism was part of the agenda, but the main theme was Japan's economic crisis, a slump that's now lasted for more than a decade. Unemployment in Japan is the worst since World War II. It's more than 5.5%. That's a staggering figure for that country. And the national debt has swamped efforts to turn things around. It's expected to be more than $10 trillion next year. And all of that is hurting the world's economy. NBC's Campbell Brown traveling with the president tonight.
Japanese archers on horseback put on a show of ancient warfare on the president's first day in Tokyo. But the real battle for Japan, fighting its way out of a long and crippling economic crisis that's making it harder for the U.S. economy to recover. After meeting with Prime Minister Koizumi, the president comes to his defense.
I'm confident in this man's leadership ability. I'm confident in his strategy, and I'm confident in his desire to implement that strategy.
But many economists say the prime minister has already had a year in office, and his inaction so far has made the situation worse.
It's bad. The Japanese economy is flirting with a 1930s-style depression.
And that's bad for American manufacturers. The weak yen against a strong dollar means cheaper Japanese products in the U.S. Another big impact may be on Japan's role in the war on terror, including the president's push for Japan to take more responsibility for peacekeeping and rebuilding Afghanistan.
That costs money. And a weak Japanese economy isn't going to want to spend more money on these kinds of things.
But the president does get a rhetorical boost from Japan, cautious support for naming North Korea, along with Iran and Iraq, part of an axis of evil.
The expression axis of evil, I believe, reflects the firm resolve of President Bush and the United States against terrorism.
Even though much of Asia and Europe are denouncing Bush's State of the Union comments as simplistic.
The critics include South Korea, which wants to jumpstart a process of reconciliation with the communist North. And many South Koreans hope the president turns down the axis of evil rhetoric when he travels to Seoul tomorrow. Campbell Brown, NBC News, Tokyo.
And here in Salt Lake City, the Olympic Winter Games are now beginning their final week with a big controversy behind us. Well, sort of. By now, everyone knows there were 2 gold medals awarded in the pairs figure skating, and the French judge was the reason. But now, she has a different story. And this controversy may result in some new judging rules. NBC's David Bloom joins me from Salt Lake City tonight. David, what's the latest there?
Well, Tom, so much of this controversy is focused on the French judge, but now she's pointing the finger, saying that others are to blame for the fix. After meeting behind closed doors, international skating officials late today vowed to radically change the way their sport is judged.
Is it an ambush?
But once again, the suspended French judge at the heart of this figure skating scandal robs the spotlight. In a French newspaper interview published today, Marie Rennes-Laguna claims that after voting for the Russian skaters last Monday, she was, quote, threatened morally and physically by this British referee. And it was only then, Laguna says, that she made up a story about being pressured to vote for the Russians. I judged in my soul and conscience, Laguna said. I considered that the Russians were the best. I never made a deal with an official or Russian judge. Lagunia's latest version of events is contradicted by at least half a dozen other skating officials. And today, the British referee Lagunia implicated laughed dismissively when asked if the story was inaccurate.
You could say that in a polite way, yes.
Yes, you can. So basically she has it wrong?
Yes, of course.
So tonight, with the Canadians and Russians now sharing gold, but with this controversy far from over, the embattled president of the International Skating Union proposed to fundamentally transform the judging of figure skating. The traditional 6.0 judging system would be replaced by a points system, where, for example, a triple axel would be worth more than a double axel. And 14 judges, not 9, would now score international competitions, with 7 of the 14 votes randomly thrown out, making it far more difficult for a judge or group of judges to fix an event.
I promise you that this system would have reduced to a minimum the possibility of block judging.
It'll be at least 4 months before any new scoring system is adopted. In the meantime, skating officials here continue to try to sort out the contradictory claims over who it was that tried to fix last Monday's competition. Tom?
Thanks very much, NBC's David Bloom in Salt Lake City tonight. Coming up next, in the wake of that horror at the Georgia crematorium, a look at the big business of death. Just who can you trust? Later, a much more uplifting note here at the Olympics. How one freestyle skier perfected his unique technique. There is a reason they call him Weird Eric. NBC News in Depth tonight. Who do you trust at an emotional time when a loved one dies? The shocking case in Georgia of a business that was supposed to do cremations but instead left human remains to decay on its property is a worst case scenario. But it's not the only one, it turns out. In Depth, here's NBC's Jim Avila.
It's happened before. Palm Beach County, Florida, Donna and Gary Bello suing this funeral home, claiming the family received the wrong ashes after cremating Mom. The company called it an unfortunate error. The Bellos say it's a cautionary tale.
Now, are their loved ones going to be taken care of in the way they want them to?
In California, where 45% of all funerals are now cremations, a history of trouble. February 1987, Hesperia, owners of a Southern California crematorium convicted of mass cremations, mixing ashes, and selling body parts. June 1997, Contra Costa, California. A pilot commits suicide after authorities discover 5,000 sets of unscattered human ashes he was paid to drop from his plane, still stored away in a hangar. And last week in Riverside, California, a funeral home owner is charged with selling bodies he was supposed to cremate to research institutions who thought they were buying legitimate cadavers.
There are more opportunities to do things incorrectly with cremation.
Cremation is no longer a novelty. 1 out of 4 deaths in this country now handled by crematoriums because it's simpler and cheaper. But experts say the law is not kept up with demand. Nationwide, fewer than half of the states have specific laws governing cremation, only 23 from California to New Jersey.
Unfortunately, a lot of the states have a slap on the wrist, and that's it.
And experts recommend family members visit the crematorium personally and pick up remains promptly. They also recommend use of a metal disc assigned to each body and designed to survive the 2.5-hour, 1,550-degree process.
It's a unique identification number with the name of the crematory on it to ensure that the ashes are not mixed up.
Making this growing practice, meant to be simple and inexpensive, more reliable as well. Jim Avila, NBC News, Chicago.
And on this President's Day, word that American journalism has lost a pioneer who helped create the way television covers the presidency. Howard K. Smith died at his home near Washington of heart disease. He launched his career covering World War II for radio. He worked for CBS and ABC and was chosen to moderate the first Nixon-Kennedy debate, a defining moment for presidential politics. Later, as a commentator, he did not shy away from a fight.
President Nixon has put a strain on the nation's trust that has become nearly unbearable.
Howard K. Smith was 87 years old when he died.
By mother and doctor in the first 3 months.
Here at the first Winter Olympics of the 21st century, it's clear that winter sports are not the sedate, less flashy cousin of the summer games. And it's not just the snowboarders. Everywhere you look, athletes seem to be defying gravity and common sense. NBC's Roger O'Neill profiles one of the best tonight who has a definite method to his madness.
Fasten your seatbelts. Here comes Weird Eric.
Look at it!
Eric Burgess thrives on wild rides. His view of the world is, well, upside down. As a kid, the world's best freestyle aerialist jumped off chimneys. Anything else he could find to scare himself out of being scared. Weird Eric.
Anytime you try to do something special or unique or significant, all those things could be interpreted as weird. I think it's a compliment.
The gold medalist in Nagano 4 years ago, Burgess says he wants to do better in Salt Lake. Better? His coach says Eric is never satisfied.
He lives and eats, sleeps freestyle aerials 7/24. I mean, he just loves it.
Even when there is no snow, Burgess is practicing, jumping into a pool. He approaches the sport as a scientist, breaking down every angle with slide rules and protractors. He's figured out the physics of jumping.
So we go up about 20 feet, we fall about 50 feet.
And the dynamics of skiing into an almost vertical 14-foot wall of snow called the kicker at 45 miles an hour.
It feels like a giant just took you and booted you, and you're flipping head over heels.
That's the simple part. Then it gets complicated.
One twist, two twists, see the ground the whole way down for the third twist, and then
in 2.9 seconds.
It's as easy as that, yeah.
Easier than juggling, which Eric does to keep his ego in check.
There aren't many things where you can fail so many times over and over and over again, and that's a great lesson for life and for sports is that it takes failure in order to get better and to improve.
Burgess is so good in Lake Placid last month.
The winner again. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear for Eric Burgess.
His competitors carried him to the winner's stand. Weird Eric, in the best kind of way, going for gold again tomorrow. Roger O'Neill, NBC News, Salt Lake City.
When we come back from one of America's bravest to Olympic contender, this is a story for our times. Here in Utah, it's the second week of the Winter Games, and the U.S. is in second place in the total medal count, very close to its goal of winning 20 medals overall in these Olympics. And while the superstar athletes here in the marquee events, figure skating and skiing, spend all of their time in their sports, it's important to remember that others have other jobs to pay the bills. And one has a job that emerged as the iconic title of the year, firefighter. Opening ceremonies, standing shoulder to shoulder with New York's finest, one of Ohio's finest, as the tattered World Trade Center flag makes its way to center stage. Like so many, 33-year-old Leanne Parsley lost a loved one on September 11th. Here, among those representing America's firefighters, but on this day, she wears a different uniform, that of an Olympic athlete. Parsley is one of two women on the U.S. skeleton team. Her path to Salt Lake City, a surprise even to her.
I took a couple trips down on it and thought, okay, this could be pretty good.
That's the moment Bob and Ruth Ann Parsley knew their daughter's Olympic journey had truly begun.
She was just total exhilaration. You know, just, wow, this is
the best roller coaster ride I ever had.
Parsley's other passion is a family affair. Her two brothers and sister-in-law are all firefighters.
I'm from a pretty small town, and I only live about 2 blocks from the firehouse. So even before I was 16, I was following them around and would hang out at the firehouse.
From hanging out to hero, a daring rescue led Parsley to the prestigious 1999 Ohio Firefighter of the Year award.
The fire service is a huge team, and everyone has their role. And so really, one person may do something that's kind of out of the ordinary, but it took all those people to make that event happen.
Fire Chief John Hubler says folks back home don't care how well Leanne does here in Salt Lake City. She's already won the gold.
Most of us here look at Leanne as Firefighter of the Year. That's her greatest accomplishment. Even if she would win a gold medal, I still think that that's more important.
Ready? Go. Leanne Parsley, firefighter, Olympian, American hero. And she's not done yet.
I need something that's a little more easy on the knees and the body as I get a little bit older. I've had my eye on archery for a while, so I'm going to pick up a bow and arrow maybe.
That's Nightly News for this Monday night. Stay tuned for NBC Sports Olympic coverage at 8, 7 Central of women's freestyle skiing aerials. Also, the K120 ski jumping team competition and the ice dancing freestyle programs tonight on NBC Olympics Primetime. I'm Tom Brokaw. I'll see you back here from the Canyons Resort near Park City, Utah tomorrow night.